Good morning and welcome to the Tuesday, September 13th meeting of the Mason County Board of Commissioners. Thank you for joining us. Sheriff Salisbury, would you please join us or lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to take a knee.
The roll call, please.
Commissioner District 1, Randy Netherland.
Here.
Commissioner District 2, Tim Sheldon is absent. Commissioner District 3, Terry Jeffrey.
Here. Next item is our correspondence with organizational business. Can you please report the correspondence received by the Commission?
Sure. The Department of Ecology sent notification that Russellwood Wastewater Treatment Plant is receiving the 2015 Outstanding Performance Award. The National Guard sent a letter to thank Zach Foster, Jerry Health, and Melissa McFadden for their support during Cascadia Rising exercise. Lana Brannon sent a letter regarding firearms regulations, and Homeland Security sent preliminary flood hazard data.
Thank you. Is there any other organizational business to come before the board?
There's not.
And that takes us to item number 5. This is our open forum for citizen input. If anybody would like to address the commission on items not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Is there anybody here that would like to address the commission? Come on, Cheryl, nothing? Okay. Okay. Okay, hearing none, we will move to item number 6, the adoption of the agenda.
Madam Chair, I move for the adoption of the agenda as presented.
And I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to adopt the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the September 6, 2016 regular meeting minutes.
And I'll second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the September 6th, 2016 regular meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next item is our approval of the action agenda. We only have 2 items on our action agenda, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Netherland if he volunteered to read out both items.
Item number 8.1, approval of the Veterans Assistance Fund applications for necessity items in the amount of $750 and utilities $400 for a total of $1,150 as recommended by the Veterans Service Office. Item number 8.2, approval of the warrants. Direct deposit fund warrants number 33980 through 34375 for the amount of $670,951. Salary clearing fund warrants number 7002128- or through 7002155 for the amount of $486,051.50 for a total of $1,157,002.50. Claims clearing fund total $22,239,141.21. Direct deposit year to date $8,831,161.40. Salary clearing year to date $9,205,406.55.
Thank you. Is there anybody that has any questions on any of the items just read?
I don't know, that's pretty controversial.
People need to get their paychecks,
Yeah.
right? Pay for the electricity. If there's no questions or requests for having any items separate for a separate vote, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the action agenda as presented, all 8.1 and 8.2 of them.
Okay, and I'll second that motion. It's been moved and seconded to approve both items on the action agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. We have a public hearing today set for 9:30. By law, we cannot start that public hearing until 9:30. So that takes us to item number 10, board reports and calendars. This is where we would report where we have any meetings we have been to or future in the next week in which we'll both be there potentially, as well as any reports on how we've represented the county on boards. So Commissioner, why don't you start?
Okay, because we're in such a hurry, I'll do it brief. Let's see, we had a business builder breakfast up in North Mason. North Mason Chamber of Commerce has often a builder's breakfast to give you information on how to better your business, what to do. The sheriff was also there. This particular one was in regards to lawsuits, and we had some attorneys giving advice on the best ways to handle it and for creating corporations for protections, and it was very beneficial. Then we had a regular EDC meeting. Also had a meeting of the regulatory subcommittee. Then we also had a meeting of the membership for the EDC. I met with folks from the Allen Belfair, basically the Allen Belfair community group that they put together to try and unify in support of specific projects for those areas, and probably reach out to Grapeview and stuff as well. Kind of on the same idea or hope that it will be as effective as like the West Sound Alliance for Transportation. There was a forum given up there on the Metropolitan Parks District, and there was also candidates that were available there. We had our Wasac legislative phone call to start working on direction on what we'll be working towards for the year. We had our briefings, and then I missed the first part of the briefing because I had a meeting with the Washington Association of Counties subcommittee on the Growth Management Act. The legislature is going to look at it this year. The local committee on local government is actually taking it on, and so they've moved up the timetable, sadly, because as the Association of Counties, we're trying to find all the things we have in common, the things that we can unify to go behind. But there's differences. When you have a city, a big city, or a county that has big cities, and they want to see certain types of things like Seattle or Tacoma, the Pierce County area, they don't want things changed like a smaller community like Mason County or Pacific County or what. So we have some things that we have to work out amongst us, but now they've moved up the timetable, and so literally in 2 weeks they're going to have a meeting. They want us to be there to talk to them.
The local government?
The local government committee. So that'll be the first one, and they're going to send out some surveys, of which you will be getting a survey, again, to try and get an idea. I don't like the idea of going off the cuff. My recommendation is that we just explain to them the importance of counties and how we have to deal with this more than most other entities might, and just by showing the importance of why we should be at the table. I think that's what we should focus our efforts on to make sure that we're in there. Let's see, after this meeting, we have another briefing. They have the Hood Canal Coordinating Council. Are you going to be there for that one?
I cannot. I have a MACECOM meeting.
Mount Moriah, there's a Democrat meeting, courthouse security meeting. West Sound Alliance is getting back together again. Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization. Lakeland Village is having a picnic, and then that brings us to our briefings. I'm sure there's more, but for some reason, that's all I wrote down.
Okay, following last week's commission meeting, I did meet with our Public Works Director on some of our utilities. Met with the Economic Development Council Director on the work that they've been working on, and we'll be reviewing the results of the industry roundtables here soon. Let's see, we had a audit exit interview regarding our Department of Retirement Systems audit. Met with the consultant regarding economic development opportunities in our comprehensive plan, and met with budget staff. Then unfortunately I had septic issues and had to spend the day waiting for Roto-Rooter and everybody else. And then Behavioral Health Organization agenda setting or work session planning. Watched the Seahawks win their first game. See, we had briefings yesterday. I thought it was a very productive briefing day, and had a really good discussion with the Historical Society regarding their request for some county lands for a museum site, and very hopeful that we have an alternative to the original request available to us, but it'll take a lot of work. And I appreciate your push that there be a very good business plan written. It's very important that these things are sustainable if the county resources are being donated towards them. So we'll have a briefing after this meeting, and then I will have a meeting of the MACECOM Governance Board and Legislative Board. And I believe I will be representing the county in Commissioner Sheldon's stead at the ORCA, or Olympic Regional Clean Air Authority. And then I will, be doing, I think I'm going to attend the Thurston County Economic Development Council lecture series on, basically it's on international politics, but that's Thursday night. There will be a tour of the Homes First project for veterans housing. If people are not aware, the state legislature granted some monies in their capital budget last year for some veterans housing to support veterans, and the county contributed $100,000 towards that effort, and they've identified and they haven't already purchased property here in Shelton that will double as they'll have some permanent housing as well as shelter specifically for veterans. And so that's Friday at 11:30, and I hope people can attend that. It'll be our first opportunity to do a groundbreaking with Homes First, which has been very active in Thurston County, and I welcome them here into Mason County. We'll have commissioner briefings on next Monday, and then we'll have a state audit pre-exit conference. Never heard of that. Regular meeting on Tuesday the 20th, and then we have our Employee Service Awards on the 20th as well. This is where we recognize longevity among our employee staff, and then a Mason Transit Authority Board meeting, and then the Rotary Foundation is doing a appreciation of the new teachers, or welcome to the new teachers in Mason County. We have a Criminal Justice Working Team meeting, and then we start our budget workshops. We have the Hood Canal Coordinating Council. I will be evaluating.
You're into the next week, right?
Am I in the wrong week?
Yeah, because I'm going, wait a minute, I have all these things, but I don't have it this week.
Okay, that's right. Well,
I was getting really nervous there.
Okay.
I have a lot of meetings that
I just want to remind people about some of these things. We do have the opiate forum on opiate, addressing the opiate addiction issue here in Mason County on Wednesday, September 21st at 4 p.m. at the Shelton High School cafeteria. And I think this is a really important meeting, and I hope people in the public will attend this meeting to find out and give input on how the community can respond to this opiate addiction we have here in this community. It's a serious problem that we got to get ahead of and in front of. And I will stop there because, yes, it does take me on to the next week.
Funny, yes, I will be at the employee event where we'll recognize our employees. Yes, I'll be at the state audit, but that'll all be, and I'll be at the opiate forum, but that'll all be next week or the week after.
Okay.
I wish I could attend the tour, but I will be at Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization.
Okay.
That's a bummer because I really would have liked to have done that. I forgot to mention that I will also be I'm doing the Democrat and a Republican meeting. And I have a question on MACECOM. Did they ever fix that phone number issue? I got a lot of calls originally when they had made it.
No, but I will bring that, I don't know, I will bring that up.
Yeah, the idea that there's no local phone number for North Mason is really a sad issue for them. They're pretty upset about that, as you can imagine. Because they pay into it, and all of a sudden they don't have a direct line to get into it. Yeah,
and that would be not the 911 number, but the non-emergency.
The non-emergency, yes.
Contact
and they
number.
Definitely, as they explained to me, they don't want to be calling the 911 to do it, and they couldn't even actually get the other number for a while. They couldn't get through, of course, through the county.
Okay.
Because the county was shut down and didn't connect with them
right.
anymore either. So we got two issues. If you could look into that, please.
I sure will. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I want to invite, we do have one of our elected officials, our sheriff here. Did you want to address the public or the commission on any items?
I actually was here because my undersheriff told me that I thought there was something on it for us, and maybe it's next week, so.
Actually, we do have in our hearing at 9:30, there will be the supplemental budget request that.
Right, I think he'll cover that. I've got a meeting in Olympia, but I thought there was something maybe on this agenda for recognizing.
Okay. So we have 15 minutes before we have our hearing that is scheduled, and we'd like to invite up a servant to this community, Diedrich Allen. Diedrich has a long history of communicating what's going on in this community to the public, and we're inviting Diedrich to step up to the podium and share some of the expansion of your service as a reporter and communications.
Yeah, no, seriously, some of your history, because you've changed a lot since
Well, I came to Mason County in 2001 to work for KMAS under Harold Greenberg and Mary Greenberg. What was it, 5 years after that, Jerry, that you and Dale took over? Worked for them for another 5 years or so. We parted ways, I'm going to say amicably, and I started MasonWebTV.com. Struggled for a couple of years, and then a little more than a year ago, we partnered with Hood Canal Communications, and here we are. We provide, obviously, these meetings, city meetings, community forums if they're useful to people. High school sports, you name it, we'll try to do it.
You'll cover it.
And that's pretty much it.
Don't say anything. I can see that our silence makes him nervous. He has to try to figure out. No, just kidding. Hey, we've been watching you for years, and you really have been a credit and a service to the community. You did a lot of that. People don't realize you did a lot of that for nothing, for free, to try and make sure that information got out to the community. But also, you turned it into a successful business. A good example for the community when it comes to entrepreneurship. I know you had some rough times there was watching it, but you always kept showing up and kept making it happen. And then, as you were saying, now you also do the meetings, other government meetings like the school district.
Yeah, North Mason School Board.
Yeah. You're very, very, very much appreciated, at least heavily by me. I have a lot of respect for you.
Thank you, sir.
And you're awfully ubiquitous. We see you about everywhere where there's something happening in this community, and I thank you for making that aware, and hope that people understand if they really want to, that there is immediate outlet to get more information about what's going on in this community.
He's actually
Decisions
a
being
beacon of
made.
light too, because I can tell you there's been many meetings where I showed up and seen him and had to go up and say, okay, what's happening? Why are you here? What's really going on? Because, you knew a lot of the stuff before we did, so.
So Diedrich, thank you for your service to the county, specifically to the county commission with recording our meetings and making them available, and thank you for your service to the community just in general, of keeping them informed.
I do get a lot of comment from people that are watching. Believe me, I got a phone call just yesterday from a lady, saying thank you and she's sorry. We had a rough meeting last week. So, but no, a lot of people are watching and are paying attention.
It's growing,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that, that opportunity.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And while I'm up here, I'm going to make some slight
Let's make some adjustments on our microphones.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diedrich.
Well, for those that don't know, I'm allergic to these things, and when he first started, he put it right in front of me, and I couldn't stop staring at the thing because I'm afraid of it. So he sets it up in a manner that I can't see it and still can conduct business. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Please. Should she address or come to the podium?
Yeah.
Thank you. You're not camera shy.
You invited me to, so. I wasn't able to be here yesterday for the hearings, but I understand that Melissa McFadden had spoken to you, and I just wanted to know what it was about, just because I wasn't here.
So we had quite a few topics. You can go ahead and sit, that's fine. We had quite a few topics with our Public Works Department, and it wasn't a hearing. It was actually just a briefing or workshop, as some people might think. So she did bring forward I'm not sure what you might be interested in, but there was, and Commissioner Netherland will help support this effort, there was a request to ask for money from the Peninsula Regional Transportation Planning Organization. They have some extra monies that were unspent, and asked for some monies to be used to do a review of the pathways, the multi-use pathways or trail system in the regional area that the Peninsula Regional Transportation Organization represents, which is about 3 counties. Is that correct? No, 4. Clallam, Jefferson, Kitsap.
4 and the cities that are there.
And the cities. So there is a tremendous amount of interest among our transportation planning group, citizens group, to connect into the regional trail system of the Olympic Discovery Trail that's up in the Clallam, Jefferson County area. And if we could extend the trail system to come through Mason County and then potentially just contain the whole peninsula, then that would be an ongoing project that we potentially could be, if we got the feasibility, or not feasibility, kind of review of where are the gaps in the trail system, when monies come available for this multi-modal transportation, we can be applying to build pieces in Mason County that connect to the Olympic Discovery Trail. That is a huge tourist boom as well as an amenity for the community up there, that if we could connect that up, I think we could see a huge rise in tourism from this Puget Sound folk that love to get on their bikes and do regional trail rides. And that's what Commissioner Netherland will be advocating for in your Peninsula Transportation Planning Organization meeting on Friday.
So how will that fit in with the Parks Commission then, the newly proposed Parks Commission? Would they take that over then, or would that still
Not
be-
necessarily there. First of all, please remember, and I hate doing it each time, but I got to tell everybody, the Parks District has nothing to do with the county, unless we choose to negotiate some stuff out and give them stuff. It will be its own government, just like a city or a port or anything else. Now, we could negotiate to give some things to them or don't, but one is not connected to the other at the hip. It's just something we'll have to discuss after people are elected and see what they even want. Because some of those people that are elected have, I was just telling people this morning, there's different things from person running to make sure that other entities can't get it. Another person's talking about making them homeless camps. There's different reasons why they want it, and they may not want something new or something from the county. But one has nothing to do with the other. A Metropolitan Parks District, if created, will be its own governmental entity that will negotiate or try to talk to the county as an equal government and see what parts they might want to take on.
Okay, so to the Parks District, we would still have, the county would still have control over its parks unless you specifically gave permission.
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people know that. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there about how much power the Parks Commission has, and I'm wondering, as President of League of Women Voters, how we can make sure that people actually have the right information instead of just voting, they have no idea.
So I've asked the advocates that came and asked us to put this ballot initiative on the ballot, I've asked them to reach out to the League of Women Voters. And apparently it hasn't happened yet, because I know that you do a tremendous job of educating voters on issues in front of them. Be happy to give you some contact information. There is a website. I don't know that.
It's
Friends of the Park.
And it's very, very, very limited. It's
Okay.
Just basically, the gentleman who was here last week, I can't remember his name, is the treasurer.
Neil Winders?
No wonders, yeah. He, it has his little blurb on it, but it doesn't say anything about the candidates or where they stand or where they're coming from or what their special interests, if any.
Oddly
are.
enough,
So-
because it's a nonprofit, I'm not sure they could have the candidates.
Yeah, if they
really?
501c3 status, you can't advocate one way or the other.
Yes, that'd be
Okay.
interesting.
Oh, they don't have it, so.
Well, I hadn't thought about it until you said that, so.
Right.
But there, the possibilities are endless, though. There are possibilities that they do create it. They have a great vision. They'll get $1.2 million per year in. They may want to start and create their own parks. They may want to come to us about taking on ours. In the city of Tacoma, people don't realize, but they have a parks district there. They actually lease the parks to their parks district, and then they pay them also to upkeep and stuff like that. Point Defiance Zoo is actually a park. That is owned by the city of Tacoma and managed by their parks district. So the options are huge. We just don't know until they're created and they decide what they want. Because we can have all the decisions we want to do, but they may not be interested at all.
Well, here's what I'm afraid of, though. I'm afraid, it's just my personal view, but, so we create this Parks Department, we elect 5 commissioners, and then it just gets out of hand. I mean, where's it gonna stop? If you can't stop it because you don't have any authority over them.
Stop what?
then-
What are we stopping?
Whatever they,
Yeah.
I mean, they might wanna turn it into like an animal park or a zoo or something. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying like they might wanna do something really crazy, and we
Then-
have
then you
no
then you-
regulatory.
Then you unelect them. The people are the ones that have the authority over them. The county commission does not, but the people do. You'll have, what is it? One of them will be a 6-year term. 2 of them well, actually it'll be 5-year because they're already doing one. 2 of them will be 4-year. Is that how that is? And then,
I don't recall the actual
Yeah.
breakdown, but
But
they
it goes-
stagger the first one.
Yeah,
yeah,
so
then it
that
goes down to
you-
1 year. There's at least one that has a 1-year term. So you'd have an ability as a community to really give them your voice on what you want to do and make an impact on that board.
Okay, so we could actually like vote to disband them if we had to. I mean,
Yeah,
not
I know,
saying-
that's a lot harder, but I haven't looked into that.
What I'm worried about is I'm worried about a totalitarianism thing, like, okay, they're gonna say, we want this park to only be open on Mondays from 2 to 7 or something, and there's nothing that anybody can do about it except.
It would be very much the same as with the county commission. If
Yeah.
the county commission decided to close the parks at whatever time, the same situation happens. It's a representative government of the people with public meetings, with hearings, with opportunity to put your input. So we're just as totalitarian option as they would be.
Well, that's a good example, because literally, just a picture of the county commission, except for theirs is 5. That's a perfect example. We are the example. So how you deal with us or how you handle us, that's how it's dealt with.
Okay, got it, thank you.
So Commissioner Netherland, thank you for that. And this
Almost
is,
did it.
this is, yeah, I know. I did want to take the opportunity, unfortunately, you were not able to be, and thank you very much for representing the counties on this growth management work. This is so essential.
It is.
This is so essential, and yes, there are differences between an urban county and a rural county, and I think that is probably where we need to start, is to have an acknowledgement that the needs of an urban county in land use planning are very different from the rural county, especially given the fact that there's an intention that the commercial growth will go into cities. And if anybody follows how local government is financed, that means that the county governments will lose a tremendous opportunity for tax revenues in sales tax. If all the commercial growth is to go into city, how do we backfill the loss of tax revenues in county? We're fortunate here in Mason County in that we have 2 unincorporated urban growth areas where commercial development can go, but it's not the case in some of our other rural counties. And I think that just bringing to the table the issues of county government, we never quite finished the work for county government regarding the revenue loss, and we haven't quite finished the work of the different of how rural living is different than urban living, and so our land use planning at the county level needs to have some more flexibility than it does. They assume that everybody's going to live on 5-acre lots out in the rural areas, and people don't always want to live in a 5-acre lot. And many of those assumptions that started 10 years ago have been disproven or voted down by superior courts across the state.
Remember that meeting we were attending where the one from Seattle actually said if they wanted to live, if they didn't want to live on 5-acre parcels, they'd move to Seattle and stuff. That's what they said. It was like, no, there's a big difference between those options. There's a lot of people, like we have Lakeland Village and Timber Lakes where they're 1/4-acre parcels, and people consider that living in the rural world to them. And they want to live there. They don't want to live in Bremerton, or they would have moved to Bremerton. So,
People don't live to the country to move into a
yeah,
city.
but that's literally how they viewed it on the larger city, though. They actually viewed it that way. I was surprised by it.
And it's surprising how much traction, because of the number of legislators in urban areas, the traction of this all growth should go into cities. It's hard to break that.
Well, and another thing to touch on what the commissioner was talking about, also picture for some of these places, let's say that we at Mason County decide that we're going to really completely fill up the infrastructure for the rest of UGA for Shelton, then Shelton actually has the right and ability to just go and annex it and take it.
I think,
Sure.
I'm glad you're listening to this. I've been doing this county government thing a long time, working in other counties. You're exactly right. And I would tell you from our perspective in my business, and I sat and watched in other counties that every time a new business went in, the city would annex it, and therefore the county would not have the revenue off that. And we actually looked at one business in the county that I lived in that 95% of the business, or somewhat in there, the majority of the business, the majority of the money that supported that business, the people that supported that business lived in the county, but all the tax revenue went to the city. And then the city, because the city reached out, and every time there's something new that goes in, they would expand out, grab it, and then the amount of revenue to the county would go away again. And if you get that started, I don't know if you can stop it, because they can do exactly what Commissioner Netherland said, the city can just reach out and grab it and annex it, and they just keep going. And we used to kind of make fun of the idea that we had a post hole digger, and that every time we put something in, one of us would have to go out and move the city limit sign because something new was going in, the city was going to annex it. And sure enough, over the years there, that growth continued out and took every single new business. And you're right, and it takes away from, and then it leaves you or us with not as much to spend within our county, although it's our county taxpayers that are contributing to that business, but the money goes to the city. You're exactly right. It's something to pay attention
Well,
to.
just like our conversation last week on the sewer. You know, the truth of the matter is, Belfair supplies a huge amount of money for the sheriff's department, for the auditor's department. It's not a little, it's huge. We're actually lucky. I don't know that the residents are, because they talk about incorporations, they can't. As soon as the city of Bremerton moved so close, they then had to have 3,000 people to incorporate. And there's only 968 people in the whole UGA because it's a commercial court. But the thing is if you took all the other, what do you want to call them, all the
Rural
other
activity
rural
centers.
activity centers, but our other commercial little cores throughout the county, altogether, like Matlock, I know that's a real tiny one, but Hoodsport, Allen, Greatview, you put them all together, they do not come out to, just the commercial core, to the value of what they have to do in Belfair. The property tax area in Belfair comes out to $100 million just for the Highway 3 in the urban growth area, just off of the little offshoots. That's not going down the North Shore and the South Shore, because that would make the numbers go way up. Through Allen, it actually incorporates and takes into the value of their park and everything like that. All of them together don't come up to the $100 million that comes out of Belfair. That's why it's so important that it's successful for the county. So when they were doing what they did, I disagreed with it, and the possibility, potential of crushing that community are terrible unless we keep track of it and do well. But I can understand why, because if it grows, that's where some of this money gives us the opportunity to have more deputies and be able to be open again at lunch. You know, I know that seems simplistic, but it's literally that is our reality. Thank you
Especially
for
given
those-
that we're only allowed to raise property tax collections by 1%
Yeah.
every year, and you have inflation at 3%.
Imagine what would happen though if Belfair did incorporate. $100 million of property value, not counting the sales tax and everything we get, would evaporate out of this county. The layoffs would be huge. Just saying.
Well, we successfully got to the 9:30 hour, and we do have a public hearing. We have a public hearing today to do 2016 budget adjustments, or to hear testimony on the requests for budget adjustments. And I invite Frank Pinter, our Director of Support Services, to present the budget requests.
Thank you, Commissioners. We do have a public hearing on 2016 budget adjustments and supplemental budget appropriations. And I'll read them off, as well as the dollar amount and in general of the purpose for the request. So the Assessor's Office has requested $7,461 to cover their retro payment for contracts that were approved for their union for 2016. Human Resources is requesting $22,563 for unexpected public safety testing costs. A non-departmental transfer of $2,000 is being requested for West Sound Partners expenditure that was unanticipated from last year. Courthouse Security has requested $57,607 for additional staffing and equipment. Indigent Defense has requested $159,400 to cover their additional contracts based on their workload and the workload going through the court system. The Treasurer has requested $11,948 to cover additional costs unanticipated in their bank conversion. Facilities has requested $155,898 for an unanticipated expenditures related to the facilities improvements, roof repair, elevator testing, and things that were unanticipated. We had put $300,000 in reserve aside for that. So that's not a cost out of ending fund balance, but rather a cost out of our reserve that we put aside. Sheriff's Patrol Care and Custody, the Sheriff's Department has asked for $28,000. That was for the purchase of a boat and some marketing costs. The Sheriff for Care and Custody have requested for outsourcing inmates $550,000. The Sheriff's Litter Program for alternative sentencing staffing and alternative sentencing program is requesting $46,985. A one-time adjustment for taking the county's cash payroll for reporting purposes to a GAAP payroll is $75,000. And the corrections contract retro for $26,400, I'd like to strike that because in mediation, we never got to mediation and we don't have an agreement yet with the corrections contract, so that is being removed. Budget transfers, we have Island Lake Management District is looking to transfer $1,500 from their ending fund balance into their professional services budget. The Mason Lake Management District is asking $60,000 be transferred from their ending fund balance into their professional services budget. The current expense non-departmental risk management is asking to transfer $400,000 from their ending fund balance to claims settlement for a coding correction. The Belfair Wastewater is also asking to adjust from their beginning fund balance to actually increase their expenditures by $400,000. REIT 1 is also looking to transfer from their beginning fund balance $232,000 into jail renovation costs. And in the special funds, taking the cash payroll transactions that the county had been utilizing and transitioning them to a GAAP payroll adjustment is $45,000. Additionally, supplemental appropriations are, and these are budget supplementals where dollars are coming into the county and the county is looking to expend those same dollars. So there's additional revenue coming in as well as additional expenditures. So the county has received a Washington State Conservation Commission VSP grant for $270,000. The county has received a U.S. Department of HUD and Department of Commerce Economic Opportunity grant of CDBG grant of $269,210. The county has also received a Washington State Department of Commerce Public Service grant for $102,503. And we have a Reserve for Technology fund that has received a Washington State Treasurer's Local, LOCAL, loan for $235,000. That's for a purchase of a phone system for the county. The cost and the impact to Mason County is a decrease in the general ending fund balance of $861,409, and that's because we took that one item off of the list. $409. Any questions?
Could you further explain this GAAP payroll adjustment?
The county had been utilizing a cash basis accounting for payroll, which means that the payroll paid on January 10th was booked into the year in which it was incurred. Proper accounting practice would mean that that payroll paid on January 10th, which represented payroll through the end of December, should be accounted for in the prior year. So on a cash basis, the expense was recorded in the year that it occurred. On a GAAP basis, that expense is adjusted back to the year in which the payroll is representative of. The $75,000 and the $45,000 is the net difference between that payroll in January that needs to go back and the end of the year payroll that needs to come into this year. So it's a difference between the two payrolls, And that one-time adjustment puts us back into a GAAP basis reporting, or puts us into a GAAP basis reporting for financial statements.
And GAP stands for?
Generally accepted accounting practices.
Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions on any of the items just read?
I think, if I can, I think you read it in the record correctly, but I wanted to make a note that under the litter program, I believe Frank read it correctly, it actually should be referred to as alternative sentencing. I think Frank read it that way, but it's not on our...
I did read it, alternative to
Yeah,
sentencing.
I'm just stating that he read that correctly, but on our copy...
It's the sheriff's litter program.
Litter crew, so thank you
Right.
for that.
Yeah.
I do have a question on that. That was, when we discussed it, that was to go into a separate account though in case it wasn't used because some of it's still being built.
For the litter program?
No, for the alternative sentence, it was going to be set in its own line item in case it couldn't be done because it's not finalized yet. Wasn't that part of the discussion?
Well, that's what I was gonna, that's what my hope was.
Yes.
I was gonna
yes,
ask.
Yes, it is being put into a special line item to be utilized when it becomes a functional program.
Within the litter,
No,
Fund?
it's
Or which
within
program?
non-departmental.
Okay.
okay,
So when we get this together, they can just start right away. They won't have
Right.
to. Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
Good. It's actually a great opportunity, a possibility for the county if they're able to get
So
the
this
pieces
is, this is
together.
an option to do community service, and it provides the staffing to do community service in lieu of time spent incarcerated. And so this will relieve jail overcrowding and hopefully reduce the outsourcing of prisoners. As you see, there's $550,000 that's being requested to be to pay for increased outsourcing of our jail inmates.
That's above what we've already paid for the year.
Above the $300,000 we had budgeted last year, or we had budgeted for the year. So this is hopefully will be successful. The sheriff's office wanted to have this monies in the budget in order to be able to start interviewing and recruiting community services officers and staff for this program.
And it takes a while. They have to go through a process. And
Okay, any other questions? Are there any questions from the public?
What's the ending fund balance now as a result of these adjustments?
$3,295,877 is the calculated ending fund balance.
Okay.
And that's already separating out the 1.2 million
Correct.
bond that we have.
That excludes the 1.2 million that we have
Yeah.
as the bond for Belfair.
Okay. Okay, then we will open up, thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
We will open up the floor for testimony. If anybody would like to testify, raise your hand and come to the podium. Okay.
Find the motion.
Hearing none, I will close public testimony and move to commissioner deliberation.
I don't have any deliberation.
Pardon me?
I don't really have any deliberation on this one.
Okay, so we have reviewed these requests for over the last 3 months. They've been adjusted. I think the commission is very comfortable with this mid-term adjustment. And I think that, I know that I'm in favor and that we've worked this through quite thoroughly. So, if you don't have any comments, I would entertain a motion.
Do you have the recommended motion? I can
I think we can probably wing
I can wing it if we need to, but that is usually they haven't. But Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the 2016 budget supplemental request with no changes, budget transfers and budget appropriations as presented.
Actually, I think you might want to reconsider that motion in that there
because we
was a
did
change.
yeah. My apologies. So, Madam Chair, I move for the approval of the 2016 budget supplemental requests, budget transfers, and budget appropriations as presented, except for the change removing the line item that says corrections contract retro for the amount of $26,400, bringing the actual decrease in the general fund ending fund balance to $861,409.
I'll second that motion. It's moved and second to approve the supplemental budget requests and transfers as presented, except for striking the corrections contract retro transfer of $26,400. The impact to the county is a decrease in the general fund ending fund balance by the amount of $861,409. Any further discussion? I just wanted to point out there's a couple unfunded mandates in here that are having to be taken care of, or at least one, and that is one that I've been talking about for 3 years now. The Supreme Court has issued caseload limits for public defense attorneys, and this has increased our public defense budget like 4 to 5 times, and we're adding yet another $159,400 to meet that Supreme Court mandate. It is my hope, and I wish Commissioner Sheldon was here, that people would take this to the legislature and tell them that we need help here at the county level. I think of a $680,000 budget for our public defense, we get $30,000 from the state. That's all the help we get from the state.
But yet we're required to do it regardless.
And so we need some help from the state to meet these mandates and/or some sort of correction. So I will go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. That takes us to no other business.
Madam Chair, I move for, I have an issue.
Adjournment?
I move for adjournment.
I'll second that. We are adjourned.
What a word to forget.
I know. Your favorite.
Yeah.